Hi everyone, Kavan here. In my previous video, I briefly talked about my thoughts on the current education system. And in today's video, I'd like to talk about what I have learned from my 20 years of education from career development perspective. Not the content of the classes that I attended during this 20-year period of time, of course. I went to my primary school at the age of 7. We didn't have kindergarten when I was a child. So I played at home for 7 years, unemployed after birth, and went to school for about 20 years and got my PhD at 27. In this 20 years, there was a period of time of 10 months when I worked in a research institute full-time and learned a lot about biotechnology, but we can ignore that. So it's roughly a 20-year education. And here I am after this 20 years education and a few years work experience. And I'm going to talk about what I have learned from this 20 years of education from career development perspective. And hopefully you'll learn something from it. You probably have seen a lot of PhDs on YouTube talk like they know everything and talk like gurus who never made a mistake. But that's not me. I'm not a guru or something similar. My career has been smooth mostly, but there are several things that I could have done better. And I can do better if I do it again. And I'm also going to include some setbacks that I encountered and how I overcame them. And hopefully you can learn something from it and avoid making the same mistakes and avoiding the same setbacks. A lot of them sound very obvious, but they weren't at the time. There are a lot to learn from successful people, but there's a lot more to learn from people who have been through things. Number one is know what you want to achieve in your life as early as you can. There are a lot of people who don't know what they want to achieve in their lives and don't know what they can achieve in their lives. And a funny thing is that they don't know what they want to achieve in their lives. If you don't know what you want to achieve with your life when you are young, that's okay. In that case, try to live a financially strong and physically healthy life until you find your life goals, your long-term goals. You will not regret your decision. When we were child, we were told a lot of Nobel Prize winners' stories at schools for years. None of the classes emphasized the importance of a financially strong life. Some of them even said bad things about capitalism and the rich. Okay, I'm not protecting the rich or saying good things about the rich. What I'm saying is that when we were a child, getting rich was not a fun thing to do. Getting rich was not a favorite thing to do. And born in a financially modest family, I did not realize the importance of a financially strong life until the final year of my PhD when I was 26. Although my mom is always an example of a thrift life, I'm not complaining about the education. I'm just sharing what I have learned from my experience. Without the education, I'm probably farming in a small village where I was from. I'm actually very grateful for the education. But there are more than that. Sometimes you just don't know what you want out of your life when you are in school. And until you get the first real job and financially become independent. Once you know what you want out of your life, you can make better decisions in your life. Because that's your long-term goal that you should strive to achieve. And changing one's long-term goal is a tough decision to make, especially when you realize what your goals are when you are old. Realizing what you really want out of your life early in your life is a fortune. If you don't know what to do with your life, if you don't know what major to choose, and if you don't know what career path to choose, then I would suggest you to consider the following: finance, business, commerce, programming, or other majors that can make you financially very strong. Because in reality, your interests should come before your curiosity. If I knew that what I want out of my life is financial freedom when I was 15 or earlier, I would have chosen one of these majors and ended up working in the related areas, would be financially even stronger than right now. I thought I would be a well-known scientist for the rest of my life because that's what we were taught in school. But the tough conditions of being a scientist, especially in the recent years, had made me thinking that perhaps being a scientist is not what I want. Perhaps I was just pursuing what I was taught and told. On the other hand, I didn't want to be financially handicapped while working as a scientist. The schools never taught us personal finance. which is the key thing that almost every living person needs. Unless that person is in the International Space Station or in a jail. Well, even in a jail, you probably need personal finance knowledge. I've seen many people made similar decisions as I did. And if you are one of these people, or if you are thinking about making a career decision, think about what I just said. I am no a wise person or a smart person, but I think that I'm more experienced than the youngers who are coming out of school. Perhaps you can find some interesting insights out of my video. If you already know what you want out of your life, then the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be very easy for you. That is number 2, choose the right major and right career path. It's so common sense, but many don't do it right. Many choose what they're curious about over what they actually need. When they choose major at school or choose what they want to learn at school, which leads to their career, they would choose what they're curious about or what they're good at, not what they actually need, according to their long-term life goals. I used to think that the more prestigious degrees and certificates I hold, the more successful I would be at work and financially. I think that's statistically true. Comparing the average impact and the average salary of people who holds a prestigious degree such as PhD or a certificate such as CFA with that of those who don't hold in a field. Although experience would contribute a lot to that difference. I thought that if I earn a PhD, I should be able to get a much higher salary than any undergraduate would be able to earn. Not just undergraduate in the same field. And I failed to recognize that choosing the right major is much more important than getting a prestigious degree or an advanced degree. Not until I realized that there are thousands of undergraduate computer science students who go to the top IT companies like Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Twitter. And there are thousands of finance, business, commerce undergraduates go to the top investment banks in the Wall Street, Bay Street, such as JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, both kinds earning starting salaries of more than 100,000, which is the salary of an associate professor in the field of neuroscience. This is partially because I was from a small rural village in Upper Mongolia, and I was not surrounded by people who work in these areas. This is also one of the reasons that I decided not to pursue science in the field of neuroscience. Had I gotten my PhD in artificial intelligence, machine learning, I would be working in a top IT company right now with a salary close to $500,000, and I wouldn't worry about getting a job. By contrast, if I did my PhD in philosophy or similar fields, I would be riding a bike and delivering food right now. This clearly tells us that the importance of choosing the right career path and the importance of choosing the right major. And number 3, be realistic with your goals. Chances are that you are an average person with potential. This is one of many lessons I learned throughout my education and career. I used to think that I'm a genius and I would be making groundbreaking discoveries in science and would be getting some prizes, even including Nobel Prize, if I put enough effort in. Now when I look back, I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? So nowadays, when I see new graduates happily starting their PhD programs, talking about their ambition in science, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But back in my mind, I'm like, good luck with that. Now I see myself as an average person with an IQ of 120, works harder than most people, and who would set realistic goals and try to achieve them. I've seen many smart, hardworking people, much smarter than I am, in science. Many of them are professors. Even though many of these professors have published numerous articles in the top research journals like Science, Nature, they're not considered to be potential Nobel Prize winners. And Nobel Prize is not like a gold in Olympics. It needs effort and luck. In Olympics, mostly efforts. Number 4 is work early if you can. One of many things that I would do if I start over my life again, the same life, would be to work early and work once I graduate from college. What I learned from work is totally different from and very useful in life compared to what I learned in school. At school, I learned a lot of theoretical things, while at work, I learned and practiced a lot of real things, like how to set an expectation, how to report a misalignment or even a mistake when you have to, how to get along well with your colleagues, how to ask for help, how to balance workload, how to play in a team, how to negotiate, etc. At least for me, learning from practice is much more long-lasting than learning from a model printed on a PowerPoint slide. And more importantly, more useful. That's one reason. Another reason that working early is better is because you accumulate wealth early, which would compound if you manage with care. At least you can decrease your parents' financial burden if you work early, if your parents have been supporting you financially. If I had worked with a master's degree instead of a PhD, I might be in a much better financial position than right now. Again, making the right choices after knowing what you want out of your life is much more important than going further in the wrong direction. Number 5, keep learning new things. Even after my PhD, I did not stop learning new things that I'm interested in. Things that would potentially help me realize my long-term goals. I learned machine learning on Coursera taught by Anjunik. I learned Harvard Business School online courses and took their exam. I also taught myself finance and took CFA Level 1. And I also read books about personal finance and investing. All the knowledge that I acquired through these is extremely beneficial, and I will continue to learn, especially about personal finance and investing. Acquiring knowledge is always good. Most people stop learning or rarely learn new things after graduation. These 5 things that I just talked about are just a few of many things that I learned throughout my education and career. Hopefully this is helpful for you, for my audience. I myself always want to learn from others' experience, like this one that I'm sharing, because it will allow me to avoid some mistakes and accelerate in my career development. That's all I want to talk about today. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel and click the like button below. As always, see you next time.